Good morning, everyone. I lost my voice, but that's perfect for the Dvar Torah I would like to share. The holiday of Pesach is called Pesach, which means passed over, that God passed over the Jewish homes. But it could also be divided into two words, which means Pesach, the mouth that spoke. Why is the name of the holiday about speaking? And Rabbi Soloveitchik explains that the symbol of freedom is being able to have a voice. You see, when you're a slave, like the Jews were in Egypt, they had no voice. They didn't have a story to tell about themselves. They didn't have anyone that would listen to their story. Being a free nation is being able to sit at the Seder and proudly, and to be able to be heard. And that's why this Shabbat, the Shabbat HaGadol, the great Shabbos, what happened on Shabbat HaGadol? The Jews stood up for their freedom, took a sheep, tied it to their bedpost, and prepared to eat the Paschal lamb and go free. And even though their Egyptian neighbor said, "What are you doing? You're slaughtering our God." Yet they stood up and acted as free people. And that's what we celebrate this Shabbat as the great Shabbat. And the message is that speaking can be done with your voice, telling the story, speaking up, finding your voice, but could also be done with your actions. The Jewish people spoke loudly with their actions by finding the courage to be proud Jews and say, we are no longer going to tolerate this slavery. We are going to go free. And the message is so relevant this year, because when we sit down to the Seder, of course we're going to be thinking about the events of October 7th and the hostages that may still be in captivity. But from October 7th until now, we have spoken as a Jewish people, more than with our voices, more than with our prayers, with our actions. We have stood up and supported and helped Israel in every way. And we could be proud that we have found our voice as a Jewish people. And we have told the world, loud and clear, that we stand with our brothers and sisters. We just returned from a mission, the third mission of our synagogue to Israel since October 7th. There have been thousands of missions and maybe billions of dollars that have come to Israel from Jews around the world. We speak loudly and loudest. Pesach, our mouth speaks. And we create Shabbat HaGadol, great accomplishments when we find our voice as a Jewish people. There is a fellow by the name of Yedidya Harush. He owns a matzah factory near the Gaza border. And over the summer, they already bake tons of matzahs. He had a factory filled with 15 tons of matzah. And then the war broke out, and he had to close his factory for a few months. And he didn't sell any of the matzah. And then he reopened. And a few weeks ago, his manager of the matzah factory called him. He was called up as a reservist. He was fighting in Gaza, in Khan Yunis. And the manager said, I have to close the factory. We can't make payroll. They have 50 employees. So he said, no, let me call the bank. He called the bank and he asked for a loan for $100,000 to keep the factory going. And the bank manager said, you're never going to sell that matzah. I can't lend you the money. So he said, okay, give me a loan on my personal home. And he took out a loan. And he said, I won't close the matzah factory. There are 50 families relying on this payroll, on livelihood. And so he went ahead and borrowed the money and continued to keep the matzah factory running. Well, the word got out about the story of Yedidya Harush's matzah factory. And within a few days, calls started to come in from Jewish organizations around the world. They said, we want to buy matzah. And they started putting in orders for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 worth of matzah. And they said, we're going to buy it. You distribute it for free to displaced families, to IDF soldiers. And within a week, all the 15 pounds were sold. He was able to pay back the loan to the bank and keep the matzah factory open. And you know what the name of his matzah factory is? Emunah Matzahs. Emunah means faith. It's our faith in God, our faith in the Jewish nation, in our destiny, in our peoplehood, in our unity. And and allowed us to achieve the ultimate victory that we will achieve over our enemies. So this Passover, like never before, Pesach, our mouths are speaking words of kindness, love, and unity, words of strength. But most importantly, we speak like the Jews on Shabbat HaGadol, by acting. Our words are powerful, but action speaks louder than words. Let us continue to speak